Okay, Broncos country, looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We've got to let the stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this Denver Broncos Syndicate pregame show as your Denver Broncos, currently sitting at 10-2, are set to take on the Las Vegas Raiders, who sit at 2-10. I'm your host, Gage Madrid. We're going to let a few people start streaming on in here, and while we do that, take care of some housekeeping matters. Please be sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. It's not mandatory, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, the link is in the description below. As we wait for the Denver Broncos game to start here in about an hour and 15 minutes, we do have a couple of significant developments that have happened in the AFC in the early window. Daniel Jones, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, appears to have gone down with an Achilles injury, a torn Achilles, which would put him out for the rest of the season. The Colts are already losing to the Jaguars, and after starting off 7-1, they are in serious danger of not making the playoffs at all. Also, here on the screen to my left, we've got the Bengals and Bills game. We want the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game because in an ideal world for the Broncos, the Buffalo Bills wouldn't make the playoffs. That's not a very good matchup for Denver, even if the game would be here in Denver. The Bills run the football really well. They obviously have a monster at quarterback in Josh Allen, so we don't really want to play them. I'd much rather face off against the Cincinnati Bengals again with their really bad defense. Joe Burrow taking the field right now for the Bengals, nursing a 3-point lead. So we will monitor that game in Buffalo as well. We got Beck in the house saying, what's your score prediction for today? So I gave that in my game preview yesterday. I'll go ahead and repeat it here. I'm going to say 20-3. I'm not going to lie. This game might start off a little bit frustrating. I'm worried about the Denver Broncos being able to run the football in this game. The Raiders have the third best rushing defense in the NFL in terms of EPA per rush allowed. So if the Broncos can't run the football, they're going to depend pretty heavily on Bo Nix and their passing attack. Bo Nix has been playing some really good football, but I worry about this Broncos offense just being one-dimensional because they can't run the football. But I do have them pulling away in the fourth quarter. I think that the difference between this last game against the Raiders that we saw in Week 10 and this game today is that Denver will be able to pull away from the Raiders at the end of the game. That's something that they really, really struggled with in the previous matchup. So I do have the Denver Broncos scoring 10 points in the fourth quarter and getting the job done 20-3. But in order for that to happen, the Denver Broncos are going to have to play a clean, disciplined football game. We saw way too many penalties on the defensive side of the ball last week against the Washington Commanders. That's not something that the Denver Broncos can contend with. Denver is going to have to find a way to play clean, sound, fundamental football for all four quarters in this game. If they can't do that, then they're not going to stand much of a chance of pulling away in the fourth quarter. The Raiders are a garbage football team. They're one of the worst teams in football. In fact, outside of maybe the Tennessee Titans, they probably are the worst team in football. So, quite frankly, I feel like no matter what happens, the Denver Broncos should win this game. But it's going to be, do they win this game by 2 scores? Do they win this game by just 1 score? That's the big question here. And if Denver plays down to their competition, is there a world where the Raiders could win? Sure. But they've gotten worse as a team since the last time we played them. They've had injuries on the offensive line. They've fired both their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, and their special teams coordinator, Tom McMahon. It's just been an unmitigated disaster there in Las Vegas, and I wonder deep down if Pete Carroll is going to survive past this season. We got Maurice Brown in the house asking, is the new wide receiver going to be activated today? No, that move would have had to have come yesterday. He just got here, referring to Elijah Moore, who the Broncos just signed to the practice squad. He just got here, so I feel like you're probably going to see him next week, if not the week after that. Sean Payton kind of hinted at this was more about just getting a talented player for the future, more so than a guy who they think can help us right now. So I would anticipate that Elijah Moore might get some limited snaps here this season, but they're kind of thinking 2026 and beyond as far as Elijah Moore's usage here in the Mile High City. So another thing the Broncos really struggled with in their previous matchup against the Raiders is whenever they were coming out in 3 wide receiver sets, the Raiders were matching up with base defense, meaning more linebackers on the field and less defensive backs. They were matching up the Broncos sub personnel with their base personnel. Sean Payton commented on that and said that Denver didn't have a good game plan for that. This time, I trust that they do. I wonder if the Raiders are going to switch up their defensive game plan, knowing that the Denver Broncos are likely to make adjustments based on what they saw on tape in the previous matchup. So it's going to be kind of that cat and mouse game. You know, the defensive coaching with the Raiders is pretty sound with Pete Carroll as well as their defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. I think that overall, that's not the big problem for this Raiders team right now. They just lack talent on that side of the ball. The coaching's fine, but then you move into the offensive side of the ball, and it's just a complete unmitigated disaster. So you got to be ready for the Raiders and their defensive personnel matchups. Of course, you have to know where Max Crosby is going to be on every single play. Max Crosby, he is going to play in this game, so I anticipate him going out there and potentially wrecking shop like he almost always seems to do against the Denver Broncos. You've got to double team him, triple team him, do whatever you have to do to stop him, because if you can slow him down, then you're probably going to do whatever you want on the offensive side of the ball, at least in the passing game. Rage of Hate says, stop giving them credit. Raiders are a disaster. They are a disaster, but at the end of the day, they're still an NFL football team, and they did play a really tough game the last time they played against the Denver Broncos. A division matchup will always get a little bit screwy, a little bit fucky sometimes, I'm not going to lie. So it's always these kind of games that you are concerned about a trap game, but the Raiders are an unmitigated disaster, like you pointed out and like I pointed out. If the Denver Broncos take care of business in this game, that is the key. You've just got to take care of business. Then they should win this game, no problem. The Raiders play a lot of zone defense. They play a lot, and I mean a lot of cover 3. They call it 47% of the time. So Denver's going to have to be aware of where the holes are in this zone defense, and that's where their passing game is going to look to attack. I'm very confident in Bo Nix attacking cover 3 because the Commanders also play a lot of cover 3, and Bo Nix played really well last week. So I'm confident about that. You should at least try to run the ball. It's going to be a lot easier said than done because this Raiders rushing defense is pretty damn good, but try to establish the rushing attack. Hopefully RJ Harvey can get into a rhythm. If not him, then maybe Jaleel McLaughlin. Whoever the hot hand is at running back, hopefully Sean Payton rides that player. The Broncos should have some scoring opportunities in the red zone. The Raiders' defense is really bad both in the passing game and in the run game when they are in the red zone. So I think Denver's going to have a lot of opportunities. If they get down inside the 20, they should punch it in and convert it into touchdowns as opposed to field goals. John says, today is the day to make our move. This is a big-time game for the Denver Broncos. And another reason why this is a big-time game is because if the Denver Broncos win this game, they will have a 6-0 record versus common opponents with the New England Patriots. That's a big-time tiebreaker. If Denver wins, they will have all the tiebreakers over the Patriots for the number 1 seed. So I feel like this game has just even more importance to it than any other Raiders game, and Sean Payton and company are aware of that. They know they need to go out and play their best football in this game, and if they end up losing this game, then you can probably kiss any hopes of a Super Bowl goodbye for the Denver Broncos. We got Kenny Miller saying, let's go Bo Nix and the Broncos. They will show up and give us a great game for the number 1 seed. Let's go. Rage says, I'm a Raiders fan. This is the most hopeless team I've ever seen. Yeah, I feel bad for you guys, man. And it's not often that I have sympathy for Raiders fans, but it truly is pretty much like you put it, uninspired bullshit. Just realize when we play NFC teams, we put up 20 or 30 plus points. When we play AFC teams, we don't put up much points. I hope we don't struggle against the Raiders like last game and put up 20 plus points. Well, I have them putting up exactly 20. I think if they can get to 20 points, then they should win this game no problem. I don't know how this Raiders offense is going to function against our pass rush. At the beginning of the season, Geno Smith was problem number one for this Raiders team. He was turning the football over left and right, throwing the ball into really tight windows, and it wasn't working out for him. I will say Geno's turnovers have been cleaned up over these last few weeks, but this Raiders offense still cannot function because their offensive line is absolutely terrible. They can't pass protect, they can't run block, and as a result, both Geno Smith and Ashton Jeanty are suffering. Geno has been the most hit quarterback in the NFL over these past few weeks. Ever since that Denver game, he's taken, I want to say, over 30 quarterback hits. So in this game, if Denver's pass rush can rattle Geno early and often, I just don't see how this Raiders team is going to function. But by that same token, last week against the Commanders, Denver struggled stopping the run. Do the Raiders want to try to lean into that a little bit more with Ashton Jeanty this week, knowing that it's a problem for this Denver defense? Maybe, but I do wonder also, do they have the horses up front on the offensive line to consistently run the football? Both teams have questions about their run game in this one, and they're for completely different reasons. For Denver, it's subpar running back personnel. For the Raiders, it's a subpar offensive line. Dom says, have to get the run game going and stop Jeanty. That'll be a big confidence boost for the team. For sure, man. And if the Raiders get Jeanty going, that's going to be a big confidence boost for them. So we do not want that to happen in this game. I think another guy you're going to have to account for is Brock Bowers, obviously. He is their number one receiving weapon that they have. But in this game, the Broncos have something that they didn't have in the previous game, and that's Pat Surtain. Traditionally, the Broncos like to put Pat Surtain on Brock Bowers wherever he goes. Even when Bowers lines up at tight end, you've got Surtain on him. He's going to shadow him pretty much the entire game. In the previous game, Bowers was getting open against guys like Jahdae Barrett as well as Talanoa Hufanga, but Geno Smith, for one reason or another, wasn't getting him the football. Hopefully, we can shut Bowers down and have him not get open. That way, there won't be those opportunities there for Geno Smith. So you've got to have a plan for Brock Bowers, and I strongly believe that plan is going to involve Pat Surtain. That will allow the other wide receivers to be locked down by our cornerbacks. You've got Riley Moss, you've got Chris Abrams-Drain, you've got Jahdae Barron, you've got Jaquan McMillan. I think all of those guys are going to see significant action today, taking away the Raiders wide receivers. Going into this game, the Raiders only have 3 healthy receivers on the active roster. They've probably elevated a receiver from the practice squad, but still, man, their top 3 receivers heading into this game are Trey Tucker, Tyler Lockett, and the rookie Jack Besh. Pete Carroll said that Besh is in line for some significant work in this game, but I believe our corners are going to be able to shut down these Raiders wide receivers, and then Pat Surtain is going to be able to shut down Brock Bowers. Michael Johnson says if the Denver Broncos want the 1 seed in the playoffs, they're going to have to win 3 games. Essentially, yes. The Broncos are going to have to win at least 3 games, and the importance of this game cannot be understated because if Denver wins this game, they will have all the tiebreakers over the New England Patriots for that number 1 seed. APC says get a win and stay healthy. Rage says Pete's son is the problem, a.k.a. the offensive line coach. Yep, Brennan Carroll. I know that a lot of Raiders fans want him gone, and understandably so. This Raiders offensive line has been an unmitigated disaster, and even some of the personnel decisions that they've made. Jackson Powers Johnson was looking like an all-pro at the making at center last year, and for some reason they decided to move him to right guard, which just isn't his natural position. He played center all throughout college, and he just doesn't look like a guard at the NFL level. Then they trot out a really bad starting center in Jordan Meredith, who has been a liability every single week for this Raiders team. Their franchise left tackle, Colton Miller, he's out for the season. So they've been starting Stone Forsythe for the majority of the season at left tackle. He's been terrible. Their right tackle, DJ Glaze, has given up 33 pressures this year. So yeah, this offensive line is just a complete unmitigated disaster. Most of it's on coaching, but overall, the personnel regression is just absolutely incredible for that Raiders offensive line. You've got to limit Alex Singleton in coverage if you're the Denver Broncos. Singleton is phenomenal as a run defender, and he's been excellent as a blitzer. But with guys like Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, if they get one-on-one versus Alex Singleton, that is a scary matchup for the Denver Broncos. So you cannot allow that to happen. You can't put Singleton in a position for that to happen. That just wouldn't be fair to Alex. So if you've got to take him off the field on later downs, on obvious passing downs, do it, quite frankly. Don't lose track of Ashton Genty in this game. We already talked about that. Establish early dominance and don't relinquish it. Keep your foot on the gas for all 4 quarters. If you keep your foot on the gas for all 4 quarters, you should walk away from this game with a convincing win. Get Geno Smith on the ground early and often. If our pass rush is able to rattle Geno Smith, this Raiders passing attack should not be able to function. Stop Genty and Bowers. Yep, that's priority number 1 and 2 for the Denver Broncos. You take those 2 players away, this Raiders offense simply isn't going to function. Can't forget about guys like Trey Tucker and Tyler Lockett, but I am confident in our DBs in that matchup. All right, guys, let me know in the comment section below as we wind this stream down here. How do you think that this game is going to go for the Denver Broncos? Do you think Denver's going to come out with their foot on the gas for all 4 quarters? Do you believe that they're going to play sound fundamental football? Do you believe they're going to clean up the penalties? Drop those comments down below and let me know your score predictions for this game. Be sure to smash that like button as well. Subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. The link is in the description below if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping improve the production quality of this content. Rage says Broncos 77, Raiders 3. Talk about somebody who has zero confidence in their football team. I mean, I get it. The Raiders haven't exactly inspired any confidence this season, but I think that it's going to be a tough, hard-fought, physical AFC West game like we always see. But the difference between this game and the previous matchup is that the Denver Broncos are going to pull away in the 4th quarter. So I have the Denver Broncos winning this game 20-3. I have them making enough plays there when it matters most. Bo Nix is going to look good. He's going to throw for a couple of touchdown passes. Will Lutz is going to kick a couple of field goals, including a clutch 4th quarter field goal to salt this game away. That is how I believe this game is going to go. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, we will see you on the game live stream. I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.